Welcome back to another episode of That Sound Podcast. Today we are joined by Lance Martin. How is things, my friend?
Things are good. A little bit rainy here right now, but got a couple of days before the next Metallica show, so hey, it's not too bad, right?
Not too bad. Definitely not too bad after coming off a two-night no-repeat weekend in Philly.
Yeah!
That's what we're going to be chatting about today. But before we get into that, we're going to get into the mind of Lance and how Metallica came into his life. So, Lance, how did Metallica come into your life?
Well, I'm sure my story isn't too dissimilar from others. I grew up in a very small town in Mississippi, and really all we had was popular rock radio, right? And even that, it was like one station. Everything else was country. And so that's kind of what I was brought up in. 1989, my grandmother's hairstylist says, "Hey, my nephew is going to come live with me for a while. His birthday's coming up in a few weeks. Why don't you get some of the, boys together and come over and let's welcome him into town?" So my grandmother did that. And, one day, it's probably on Vince's actual birthday, we go over to his house, and I see this guy is very much like an 80s movie, right? Like he comes out, he's got long rock and roll hair. He's probably wearing a Motley Crue t-shirt. I was like, this guy is not like anything I grew up around. And so instantly there's this cool factor.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, Vince and I became best friends. We're still friends to this day. Next week, next Tuesday in Atlanta, Vince and I are going to go to our first Metallica concert together. And so we're both super stoked about that. But yeah, Vince comes into town, had this rock and roll lifestyle, and he introduced me to so many bands. He played the guitar, so after his introduction, I remember getting off the bus one day with some other friends and watching the Cliff 'Em All video. And then not too long after that, they released And Justice for All. So kind of all those things converged all at once, and I was hooked. And have been into Metallica ever since.
Wow. Yeah, it's so funny, like the amount of people that I talk to, and like everybody has that maybe slightly older figure in their life that opens the door and goes, "Look at this."
Yeah.
Go check this out. And it's either going to go, nah, or yeah. And most time it's yeah. So
Yeah, it was very much a yeah for me. And two, whenever they released the video for one, right? I had never really, I'm a visual person as well. And so I had never really seen anything like that. The way that it was shot in black and white, just the power, the blending of their lyrics with the Johnny Got His Gun story and movie.
yeah.
It was just such an immersive thing. And as a, young teenager, I was hooked. I was like, this is awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were around when that album came out.
Oh yeah. So 1989, I had just turned 12 years old.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, got the whole thing. And once I was introduced, started hitting the record stores, buying up the earlier albums. Out of the ones that I bought, I gravitated towards Ride the Lightning the most.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of also being a preteen in late 80s America who's also a movie geek. I was just kind of immersed in like Cold War fear, and a lot of the, movies like Red Dawn, Top Gun, things like that. I kind of grew up watching. And so whenever I played Ride the Lightning and it opens with Fight Fire with Fire, and it's just kind of talking about apocalyptic destruction, I don't know. It wasn't scary to me. It was, I don't know.
Yeah.
It brought somewhat of a levity to it, to where it was just like, okay, this is all right. Even if the end of the world comes, we're going to be all right. So yeah, that was just,
Wow, yeah. That was a great time then, like for music coming up that time as well. And like you say, with everything going on, and you know, Cuba and all that crack. Like, but yeah, and like you say, the visuals as well. Something about that album cover is cool. Ride the Lightning. I think
Yeah.
it's. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's definitely in my like top two or three. Uh,
Right.
I don't know what it is about Justice that does it for me. I don't know. I'm a Justice guy, number one
Okay.
Justice. And it wasn't the first album that I heard with that story that you said with your buddy that passed you on.
Sure.
I had a similar story, which I said before. Like the Black Album was my story, or was my
Mhm.
album. And I remember the guy telling me, well, what do you think? Is it too heavy? I'm like I was about 12 or something like you, maybe a little bit younger. And I'm like, no, no, I love it. And he goes,
Yeah.
okay, there's another one, but it's a little heavier. Don't let your mother hear you listening to this. So I got Justice off him, and I was like, what the hell? I'm like,
Yeah.
this Blackened. I'll never forget the first time I heard Blackened. I'm like, what? Is like just that intro. I was like, whoa, gone. And it's always that first album that kind of lays the foundation, I think, in with you. It's very hard to put it down. Like it'll stay
Sure.
with you. But yeah, Justice for me. And I know people say it has its flaws and it's, no bass and whatever, but I still think it's a monster album. So Ride is your album.
Yeah, I think so. And I'll probably take a lot of slack for saying this. But I also really love 72 Seasons. Not so much from a musical perspective, but just the way that the lyrics resonate with me. And
Yeah.
I think that kind of goes to what you're talking about. A lot of people will critique albums because they're not like the first three,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, Metallica's just different. They sucked whenever, you know, as soon as Cliff died, blah blah blah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we all mature, we all age, we all hear things at different stages of our life, and for me, music is an emotional experience. It's immersive. There could be a song that I've listened to 1,000 times and it's never resonated with me. But then I could be going through something on this one particular day and I hear something, from Load and I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
that hits. And so I think that's for me, that's one of the beautiful things about a Metallica show is, and it kind of ties into this whole 72 seasons aspect, is that when I'm at a show, I am almost like I'm in a time machine, right? Like navigating all these different, rivers and streams that I've gone through in my life. So their music that way is really special to me, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
totally understand what you're saying. I had a similar experience actually with one track from Metallica, Fixer.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
I just, yeah, like you said, as life goes on and things change in people's lives, and like I was listening to that song, and I know it's quite personal to James, but like I kind
Sure.
of had not the exact same, but like something that I kind of made in my head. I'm like, oh shit, that song. I'm like, damn, I didn't,
Yeah.
I didn't listen to it this way before.
Sure.
And like you touched on, it's maturity. It's what's going on in your life. If you're in a shitty mood and you're like, blackened, give me blackened. I need a rage. Or
Yeah.
if you're just cruising and maybe you throw on load or something, and there's like, until it sleeps, or you know, some of them kind of hard rock bluesy songs, and you're like,
Sure.
oh man, I didn't appreciate this.
Yeah.
Shit, I shit on this. I shouldn't have. This is really damn good, but
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for it, and now I am.
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
what you just said. That is the
Yeah.
music. That really.
Yeah. I had a similar experience at the All Within My Hands benefit last year in seeing Low Man's Lyric performed live. And, I'd heard the song countless times before, but just where I was in my life at that time and then seeing it live, I think there's also something about that too, right? Like whenever you see music live, the immersion level like turns up a
Oh yeah,
little bit and it just connects with you more. And so, yeah,
Yeah, like Madrid comes to mind. I know both of us were in Madrid. We were talking before we started
yeah,
recording. And I remember on night one, I believe, me and my buddy Luke, we were sitting in the around the 200s, but we had like row one. We had good enough seat.
mhm, yeah.
We tried to get floor, but anyway, we couldn't get it. But I do remember again a similar song that I didn't hit me until I heard it live was from Dead Magnetic. Jesus, what is the song?
Did they play?
The,
They
the,
played Cyanide, right? Was it
the
Cyanide?
day that never comes.
Ah, the day that never comes.
And I swear, man, I started tearing up. I'm like, I don't know what is going on right now, but like, I think it was the build up to waiting to go to the show, and that was kind of the first kind of ballady kind of song on the set. And
Right.
I remember I sat back in my chair and I'm just looking around me. I'm like, I'm so fucking happy right now. Do you know that? You know when that
Oh,
emotion comes over?
absolutely. Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
just kind of sat back and everybody was going wild and I just was looking around me and I literally took it all in. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this is so fucking good.
So, William Wordsworth describes those kind of moments as being poetry, right? He says, poetry is a spontaneous overflow of powerful feeling, right? And so I had a moment in Madrid that was kind of like that. I was on the floor. I Up to that point in my life, I was a single man, had, lived a decently frugal life, and, I work a lot. And so my kind of rare treats to myself are to travel and see music. And the Madrid shows were close to my birthday, and I got the Nothing Else Matters experience. And so I did, Snake Pit, meet and greet, and because I was like, when am I ever going to have a chance to maybe do something like this again? So I seized the opportunity, and all that was great, right? Like it was awesome meeting Kirk and Rob. Um, the whole experience, awesome. But Sunday night, which was a week before my birthday, um, I'm sitting there and they play For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Yeah.
And so this is one of my favorite songs off one of my favorite albums, 7 days before my birthday, which I happen to share with Ernest Hemingway. And so Hemingway is the namesake author for Whom the Bell Tolls. And the story within that book, takes place maybe 45 minutes outside of Madrid. And so as far as full on immersion, I don't know if I could get, the only way I could have, written it any better was if the concert were on my actual birthday. And so that's probably one of my top five song moments of just being there, experiencing that song like that, and kind of all of my, you know, interests colliding.
Yeah.
So it was amazing.
It's very hard to describe, isn't it? That moment. It's like I get it with I have a mental taste in music. I will listen to obviously Metallica, who I love, but I'll also listen to like country even. I'll listen to rap, I listen to dance,
Sure.
I listen to everything. But there's something when that song hits you with that emotion, especially in the live performance. I don't know if you're familiar with a new kind of country guy that's coming up in Indiana, Stephen Wilson Jr.
I don't know him.
Yeah, he's pretty good. I'm actually going to see him now in Belfast in a couple of weeks. But a similar song with him, he done a live performance. It actually went viral. You should check it out. It's called Live at the Print Shop. He's cool. But this song that he plays on this like classical guitar,
Yeah,
and as I'm watching it, it was the first time it ever happened to me not being in the same room or arena. But as he's playing, I was like, I got like that lump in my throat. I'm like,
sure.
so powerful. But like that
Yeah,
moment for you, I know exactly what you're saying. Your birthday, your favorite album,
yeah.
an awesome stadium in Madrid. It was cool.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
and you know why that is so special to you. It's like a tornado of emotion, and it's just you just You can't describe it. If you
You
know
can't
someone,
describe it, and if you try to describe it, it loses some of its impact, right?
yeah,
Because whoever you're trying to tell it to, by the time you fully express everything, they're probably in the corner taking a nap, right? Like you took too long.
yeah,
Um, and I think that's the way it should be because those moments are personal to you, right? Like that is your moment,
mm,
and it means something to you. And sure, we can like share, oh man, that was really cool for me to experience, but no one will ever,
yeah,
understand fully what it meant to you. But yeah, I get it. And you talking about Stephen Wilson Jr., I might have heard of him. If he's the same guy I'm thinking of, and you might be able to tell me, the guy that I'm thinking of has like some sort of song about kind of the grunge era and
yeah,
like living in like the 90s through that time.
yeah. He is a
I
song.
think that might be him.
Yeah, that's him. He was.
Yeah.
He's a song. He does a version of Nirvana's "Something in the Way,"
Uh-huh.
and he does a song 1994.
That's it. That's the one, 1994. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. He was a he was
That's it.
he was a professional boxer. This is going off topic, but it's fun. He was a professional boxer from Indiana, and his dad boxed for Golden Gloves,
Uh-huh.
and he then was a scientist in Nashville, in some sort of a food. I don't know. He was making like chocolate. He was like Willy Wonka. Like he was the science end of making the food,
Sure.
all this crack. And he was writing songs at the same time. And he brought this song to his dad, and he showed him the lyrics. And his dad said, "You got to sing this one.
Yeah.
This is your one." You know.
Yeah.
So he sang it for his dad. He tells the story, and of course, his dad passes away. And his heart's broke, and he's like, okay, my dad told me to go and sing these songs.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sell these songs anymore. I'm going to sing them.
I,
So he goes on this small enough podcast, and he just blows up.
yeah.
He's now touring the world, and selling out small arenas all around America and Europe. So fair dues to him. So check out Stephen Wilson Jr. on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, with this conversation, having my previous connection to that song and then this connection here, that will drive me to listen to him more for
Yeah.
sure.
And the song that really hit me was Father Son, and
Mm.
he sings about his dad, and oh man, break your heart, but it's cool,
Yeah. Yeah.
really
Yeah.
cool. But let's get back to Metallica. So,
Sure.
Ride the Lightning, favorite album, cool. For show, Lance.
First show was Nashville 2019.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, how do I put this? Finally got to the point in life where I could, afford to go to shows, and saw that Metallica was coming to town. I was living close to Nashville then and got my ticket. Unfortunately, I was still drinking quite heavily at that time, and I bought the all you can eat, all you can drink upgrade that the venue offered. And so I got there early. I pre-gamed. There's no telling how much I had to drink. Go out to the show. I'm double fisting beers. You know, you get through the first two songs, and as the first one's kind of trailing off, I'm going to scurry down to the bar and get two more beers. And so it repeated that cycle the entire show. I remember glimpses of what happened and me singing along to a few things, but on a large scale, that show was just blank to me. It's just
Okay.
blank.
Okay.
Um, Not too long after that, I made a conscious decision in my life that I needed to stop drinking. And so kind of took the rest of 2019 off. 2020 rolls around, of course, COVID happens,
Mhm.
and it just kind of shut everything down. Middle of 21, when things kind of start opening back up, the world starts coming back alive. I see where Metallica is on several festival bills, and I was like, I'm going, right? I'm going. And I went to the Louder Than Life that year in Louisville, Kentucky. I went to Welcome to Rockville down in Florida. And over the course of those four shows, I started seeing a lot of the same faces. And it started clicking with me that, hey, there's more to like seeing Metallica than just going to a concert, right? Like there is a subculture of people, of fans that are so dedicated to their music that they travel multiple times to see them.
Hmm.
And after that, I got hooked,
Yeah.
and just started going and going and going. Um, and then, the new album came out, the new tour started. I got the I Disappear pass. I've held that for the past 3 years. And yeah, I've been able to go to Metallica as often as I've wanted the past couple of years. And that's been awesome.
Wow. Yeah. Like you touched on there, Lance, like I definitely agree that there's more to Metallica two night no repeat weekend than the shows. You know, we touched on Madrid there. That's the last one that I was at. And I remember walking around on the Saturday and, just being surrounded by people in Metallica tops, you know,
Yeah,
sitting. I remember like sitting down in one of the big squares in Madrid and me and my buddy were having something to eat. We might have been having a beer or something. And this guy just walked past and he was wearing a Metallica top and
sure,
he was on his own. He's like, hey, we're like, hey, like, can I sit down? We're like, yeah, I don't mind.
sure,
So like he sits down and he was a guy from Germany and he was on the I Disappear. And we started talking the talk and, just like we are now, your favorite album,
sure.
blah, and from that moment, we still keep in contact.
Yeah,
He's possibly coming to Dublin next year, and I said, I'll look after you, I'll put you up or whatever,
sure,
and that is what I'm. The more and more I'm doing these chats with fans and stuff, it's like everybody really wants to help each other out.
sure.
It's like, oh, Metallica's coming to my town. Okay, I gotta get X, Y, and Z. I need to get them a couch, a bed, or anywhere
Yeah,
to sleep. Or I'll pick you up in the airport, or I'll do this, or I'll do that. And
sure.
that's what I love about it. I really love that about it. And some people might, people said, "Oh, the Metallica family." I'm like, no, it's okay. It does sound a little bit cheesy, but there is something there. It's a bond.
Oh, absolutely. So, a little story about that. I got tickets to Donington in what was that, 23? Um,
Yeah,
yeah, so Donington Download Festival in 23. And for whatever reason, I bought two tickets. I don't know if I thought I could convince a friend from over here to go with me, not understanding really the commitment that takes. It's basically a week off work, it's travel costs, all this kind of stuff. And no one bought. And so I was like, man, I'm stuck with this ticket. And I was on the Metallica forums one day. I was in the download chat, and this guy was like, hey, does anybody have an extra ticket? My brother really wants to go to the show with me. I sent him a message. I was like, what are you looking for? He's like, I just, want my brother to come with me to the Saturday show. And I was like, dude, I've got a, 4 day, 5 night camping pass. It's yours if you want it. And he was like, I appreciate it, but a little bit out of my price range. And I was like, look, man, I'm gonna eat this ticket, right? Like you pay what you can pay, maybe bring some, food stuffs to the campground, camp next to me, and let's just have a good weekend. And he's like, sold, and uh, Robbo, as I call him from time to time, he's a good friend to mine for me to this day. Like we message on WhatsApp frequently. We send voice messages back and forth to one another. And you mentioned the Dublin show. I'm actually coming over for Dublin and Glasgow. So he's going to be at those shows. So by that time, it'll be what, 3 years later, we'll get to be at another Metallica show
yeah,
together. And stories like that abound. I mean, you can tell so many about a little connection here that led to this other connection, and now you've got this friend for life. So when you experience Metallica family and you understand
Yeah.
Metallica family, you don't look at the phrase as being cliche. It's like,
No,
no,
it's yeah,
there's meaning there, you
yeah,
know?
Metallica gives you heaven, baby!
100%. Yeah, and that's such a cool story, and that's what it's all about. Like, I really feel like I touched on like, and you helping that guy out, like that's a friend for life. Like, just
Yeah,
just a little bit of goodness, a little bit of honesty, and be like, look, this dude really wants to go. He's on the Metallica forum.
sure, sure.
He's not taking the piss. Like, he really wants to go.
Yeah,
And being that kind, which you were, like, that's so cool. I love them stories. And that's it.
yeah.
That is the family. Like it or not. Like, some people, "Ugh," no, that's it. You name me another band that has fans like that. There's not.
Not one that I've experienced, right? Like,
No, no way.
there's no one else that I would devote my time to like this, or have met anyone that would have that connection like I did with Rob
No,
and all
100%.
these other people. Even the one I'm sharing with you right now, right? Like it's you know that there's this underlying current of connection that, like, having never met you before today, I can say yes, that's my Metallica family right there. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. I
uh,
love it. I really do. I love it. And I can't wait. I just recently bought the I Disappear,
right?
and I'm going to be doing, hopefully, maybe, definitely six, seven, maybe eight
Ooh,
shows. I'm going to do, obviously, Dublin. I'm going to do Glasgow. I have kind of pre-accommodation booked. London is looking expensive, but possible.
sure.
I'm going to do Athens,
Okay.
and I'm going to do Budapest and Frankfurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping to hit. So definitely, we're going to get you to Dublin. We'll have to get you
Uh,
some food.
I'll be there, and I will drink all of the 0.0 Guinness I can handle.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, man. You'll have a good time. You don't need alcohol. You can still have a.
No, no, that they put out an alcohol-free version,
Oh,
and the
they have.
taste. Oh yeah, and the taste is pretty much spot on.
Not bad.
Yeah, so it's great. I, you know, I still like the taste of a good cold one, and thankfully there are a lot of, non-alcoholic options out there that I can, get and
Yeah,
uh,
I like
enjoy the taste.
I like the Heineken 0.0 ones.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Remember,
Yeah.
I'm gonna I hit them up. So
There was one in Madrid called a tostada. Fantastic. Fantastic.
I know you're from the Southlands, but my God, the heat in Madrid that weekend.
See, it didn't bother me at all.
Us little pasty Irish guys, we nearly melted.
Yeah, it didn't bother me at all. Like I remember people complaining, and I was like, no, it's kind of,
Oh, I wasn't complaining, but I was like, I remember on night two, we got comped on night two. We got some passes, we got guest list passes, and I remember queuing up at the box office, and that arena, I was beautiful arena, but like I
yeah,
remember the concrete, and like we were lining up, and the concrete was like bouncing off. I'm like, I'm gonna die.
yeah,
We
yeah.
get we get two types of weather in Ireland. We get cold rain and we get hot rain. We don't get sun.
Right, right. The
But
the worst heat, I think, for me was Phoenix. Phoenix was pretty brutal.
yeah,
Right under that would have been Dallas. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty sure Phoenix was the worst. And
so
people say, "Well, it's a dry heat." I don't care if it's dry or wet. Hot is hot.
hot is hot. So, Lance, how many shows have you been to since 2019? Was it 19 was your first one?
Yeah, 2019 was the first one. Had I not canceled DC and made Charlotte and Atlanta, Atlanta would have been number 40 for me.
Wow, wow,
So, yeah, so 35, 36 shows since 2021.
wow, wow. Yeah, I got rookie numbers. I gotta up mine up. I'm only on like
Oh no, and that's also a conversation, along the lines. People are like, "That's my 50th show." it's my 100th show. Great. I don't,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I don't mention like my number is small too, right? Like comparatively, it's not something to where it's like, oh, look at me, I've gone to this many shows. It's actually you look back and you say, oh my God, I've
yeah,
seen this band this many times over this past couple of years. It's not like the number's the goal in and of itself, but when you look back and you kind of reconnect what we were talking about earlier, those moments, you're like, man, I've had 36 unique moments with unique people around me, enjoying our favorite band, which is an invaluable experience.
100.
I don't know if this quote is directly attributable to an author or not, but I've heard the phrase, invest in moments, not things.
Mm-hmm.
And I've really tried to adopt that philosophy into my life in a lot of different areas. And when you do that, and you're also present in the moments, right? Like you're not thinking about the past, you're not thinking about what you're going to do next. You're actually there in that moment.
Yeah,
Man, it gives you such a richness,
yeah. And and you can't put a price on that.
and at all,
No.
and some people will say, You're going to see them again? Like, haven't you seen them enough?" And I'm like, no, because of the Metallica family.
Yeah,
It's these people that you see at shows, but you also text with, share photos with,
yeah,
you begin to understand more. You comfort them whenever they're going through a trying like time. They
yeah,
comfort you in return. It's Yeah, it's an extended family. I've described us sometimes as from the old claymation Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer movie, The Island of Misfit Toys, right?
yeah,
It's a lot of, at least in my experience, kind of an outcast teen, preteen, socially awkward,
yeah,
who can lose themselves in music. And I think a lot of people have similar stories. Not everyone, but a lot do. And so we kind of find this connection, and you understand that those people are your people and you want to be around them, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. You nailed it there, Lance. You nailed it. Like that's what it's all about. That
Yeah.
100% what it's all about.
Yeah.
Um, so we are here to talk about your experience in Philly. So
Yeah.
let's get into night one in Philadelphia.
I'm not sure. Is that what you want? No, I said, is that what you want? Do you want heavy? Metallica gives you heavy, baby!
All right.
So how was getting there? How was the weather? I know it wasn't great.
Yeah.
Before we get into the set list, how was this?
So I'll give you a little bit of a backstory.
Hmm.
So where I am in southeastern Kentucky, my plan was to do a 2-week road trip through Philly, DC, Charlotte, and Atlanta. I built a little sleeping platform in the back of my SUV. And so I left for Philly on Thursday afternoon. Drove about 5.5 hours. Got a hotel for the night somewhere in West Virginia. Woke up early Friday morning and started driving to Philly. And I had signed up to pass out fan cards. It's these cards that you give to people who are entering the stadium. They pull off a tab, scan a QR code, see if they want an album. The beauty of that is that after I did like 3 hours of work, I got a free pass into the snake pit. And
Really?
so I drove straight into Philly. The weather was fine getting there. Um, Parked the car at like 2:30. Go meet the people I'm going to work with. We have a quick bite and start passing out these cards around 4. Started off kind of slow, but around 5-ish, 6-ish, when the bands were really starting, man, the floodgates open. And so just passing out card after card after card. I probably passed out like 4,500 cards and interacted with a lot more people than that. Um, while I was passing out cards, the heavens opened a little bit and it started raining,
Yeah.
and we went into the breezeway. But the rain, it didn't last long.
Uh,
Maybe 25, 30 minutes of like the hard stuff. And coincidentally, I think that was right during Limp Bizkit's set. I think that's when the hard stuff really came down. But by the time I got into the snake pit, there was maybe two and a half Limp Bizkit songs left, and the rain had pretty much gone. And then the rest of the night, it was a little cool for me, especially being a bald guy. So I had my beanie on. But as far as the weather, the rest of the night, excellent. No complaints at all.
cool, cool.
Yeah.
So going back on them fan cards, how did you get that then? Is it something that you?
Nah, so the way I got plugged into it is I am the chapter head for Mississippi's Met Club,
Oh, cool,
Magnolia Militia,
cool.
and I am in a chat group with all the other chapter heads across America. And so whenever Metallica comes into a city, um, they will reach out, or people will reach out to the chapter head of the local chapter to allow them to, get some of their members to have this experience. And the chapter head for Philadelphia, for whom the Liberty Bell tolls, I believe,
Oh, nice.
was, had a few spaces, and he was asking for people, and there wasn't a lot of folks to like say, yeah, I'll do it. And I was like, hey, I'll do it. If no one else is gonna latch onto this, I will.
Yeah.
I've never done that before, and it was well worth the cost of admission to get into the pit.
Wow.
So
Wow. I gotta hit up the chapter head in Dublin here.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. We got one over here. They call it Keltulu.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if I have the. Oh, yeah. I'll show you.
like that.
Yeah. So,
Oh, very cool.
it's a
I
mix.
like that logo.
Yeah, it's a mix of Ireland, Wales, Scotland, and some of the other kind of Celtic countries. I'm not sure. There's maybe
Sure.
one or two. So it's kind of a blend of a couple of countries that came together.
Right.
But it's
Yeah.
small enough. It's starting to grow. I think there's only like maybe 100 or 200 members, but hopefully with this show announcement, it will grow. But
Sure.
that's a cool story, man. Wow. So into the snake pit. That was night one. You got in the snake pit.
Yeah, 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 night one, absolutely. Yeah.
What is your take on Limp Bizkit?
Love them.
I
I
did.
love them.
I did see an interesting video on your Instagram.
Yeah. That
And
was my first time. That was my first time seeing them live.
I
Okay.
I
And
loved it. I loved the
yeah,
passion. I loved it.
it was just something about it. It just that was the most fun I'd had at a show with a support band in some time with Metallica. I had a few moments during Five Finger Death Punches sets that would, kind of rival that. But as far as a complete show, like that Limp Bizkit show in Nashville, man, it took the cake for me. So I was a little sad that I would not get a full show again,
Yeah.
but getting in there with the last couple of songs, I was still able to rock out.
I think they are a perfect fit for Metallica. I know
Yeah,
they've done the Summer Sanitarium and all that all them years ago, but I really think at this time and at the kind of demographic of fans that's going to Metallica, that's on
sure.
the rail, that's doing the I Disappear or the Frantic or that,
Right.
they're perfect for them. I think
Yeah.
because they don't take themselves so serious, but they're good performers. I caught them in Belfast last year. I think it was last year, and Tom Morello opened for them.
Ah, yeah.
And me and my buddy Luke kind of said, "Yeah, we'll go." Like I said, I remember getting the Chocolate Starfish CD of Santa Claus.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm like, look, it might be a bit crap. I don't know, but we'll go. Man, they were unbelievable. I
Right.
mean, the crowd in Belfast, Tom Morello. I love Tom Morello. I love Rage. I love Audio Slave.
Sure.
I got right up in the goal circle. I was right up close. So when Fred comes out and he's wearing the big high vis jacket and he's,
Yeah.
and I looked at my buddy, I'm like, this is going to be crazy. So
Yeah.
they kick off with break stuff, I think, in Belfast. And I mean, the crowd didn't stop jumping till they finished.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he actually took my buddy up on stage, who I went to school with, brought him on stage, and he sang with Fred on stage.
Amazing.
But going back to Metallica, like, yeah, I think they're perfect. I really do. I think it's a big upgrade. No offense, just for me, Ice Nine Kills don't do it for me. Um, I think Limp Bizkit are way better fit for me.
Yeah. Well, Icenine's still there. It goes
I know.
Icenine,
Yeah,
Limp, and then Metallica.
yeah.
Uh,
But each to their own.
no, sure. And I think, kind of to your point, when I was passing out those fan cards, there were a lot of people our age, maybe a little older, coming in, but then they had their teens or preteens with them. And I saw so many like younger people with backwards red caps or
Yeah,
Limp Biscuit t-shirts on. So it's a generational thing. You've got parents who were exposed to that music, they've exposed their children to that music,
yeah,
and then they're going to these shows as a family. um, which I love. I think some people will slam that. They're like, "Oh man, metal shows you need to be,
yeah, yeah,
moshing and hitting each other, whatever." Um, we get old, right? Like we get old. Our interests change, our responsibilities change. But for those of us with children, our children become a huge part of our lives, and we certainly want to share who we are with them. And so for those lucky parents that have children that reciprocate that feeling, they're like, yeah, this is cool. I want to share this with you. Man, talking about putting a value on something, you can't put a value on that,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. No,
So,
yeah. Whoever put that all together, yeah, is a genius. Probably Lars, I'd say. I don't know, but
right.
it was a great shout. But yeah, just before we get into the set list, I'd like to just ask your opinion on the support acts for next year in Europe. Gojira and Pantera. I know Pantera obviously with Metallica as well, but Gojira, are you a fan?
I am
Oh man,
huge fan,
they're so
huge
good.
fan.
They're
They're
so,
so good. I told a guy earlier, he had messaged me about whether I'd gotten any tickets for over there, and I said yeah, and I told him which tickets I got, and I was only able to get GA for Glasgow. I had to get seats for Dublin, but I told him that was okay because my fiance is going to be with me, and
yeah,
she's not necessarily into the heavier heavy metal music. And I just told him, I was like, I cannot wait until Gojira makes my ears bleed. Like just I don't know. I love them.
yeah.
Yeah,
I got to
and I love Avatar too, though. So like I'm really excited to see
yeah,
Avatar again as well.
knocked loose as well.
Yeah, yeah. So the support acts over there is like
Like
those four. Yeah,
brilliant. Yeah, I
yeah.
I got to catch Gojira maybe 2 3 years ago
Uh,
in Belfast, actually, again up in the north, and it was a small arena, maybe 1,000 people,
yeah.
and I actually got a drumstick from Mario, and he threw it. He kind of caught my eye, and he's like pointing at me. I'm like, I'm not missing this, and I just got it lovely, but
I can't imagine what the sound would be like that in a small confined space. I've only seen them at festivals.
yeah,
Um, at I believe it was Rockville, and then last year at Louder Than Life. And even there, it's
yeah. If you
super loud.
if you think of it later, look up the Ulster Hall in Belfast, and you'll just
Okay.
it's so small. It's just like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
narrow, long room.
Right.
It was unbelievable. And who opened for them? Them guys from New Zealand. kind of Maori guys. Oh, they were really good as well. What was their name? Oh, somebody please put it in the comments when this video's out.
Oh yeah.
I
I,
can't think of the name. It'll come to me when I'm not thinking. But let's get into the set list then. Night
sure.
one. Of course, it's a long way to the top. Shit's gonna get ready to go down. Of course, one of your favorite songs, I guess, "The Ecstasy of Gold." It means a lot to
Yes.
you.
Yes.
No matter how many times I hear it, I turn into that little boy. I'm like, oh yes, 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 you know. But man, they open with a bang. Creeping Death, Harvester's Sorrow, and Holier Than Thou. Wow.
Yeah. Three bangers back to back. I think, the first 4 to 5 songs, um, and I don't know if, no, nothing against the guys. I don't know if they're just like really energetic, like coming out on stage, if, they've just kind of been resting up until then. But man, those first, couple of songs are just so high energy. And, some nights you can tell when, like, James himself is just in a good mood.
Mm.
You felt that Friday night.
Wow.
And, again, I was in the pit, and when you know how he comes out and gets on top of the bridge during Creeping Death, that's where I positioned myself, right? To just kind of sit there and take it all in. And even with that, song, you're talking about it's a long way to the top. Everybody gets into that. So immersive. Ecstasy of Gold, same thing. Everybody's just kind of in that somber, reflective moment,
Yeah.
waiting for them to take the stage. And then they come out with Creeping Death. And then, when you get to the die, die, die chorus, and everybody is like just chanting, die, die. And everything's blood red. That's also one of those immersive moments that's just
Yeah.
really cool and never gets old, you
Never.
know?
Never.
Never gets old.
And then Harvey, Harvester's Sorrow. Damn. Like,
Yeah.
did we get that in Madrid? I think we did.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I think we did. One of my favorite tracks off that album.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
so good. And Holier Than Thou, I think that song live is amazing. It's a great song, but seeing it live, it's another level. You
Yeah,
know?
and I don't know if you're on the Insanity Place of Metallica, ipom.com.
Mhm.
You can register and select all of the shows that you've ever been to, and it'll give you your personal tour report.
Oh,
Yeah, and it'll show, you've seen this song this many times.
wow. Definitely
Um,
gonna do that.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. It's really fun. I can't remember if I saw Holier Than Thou before. Well, no, I wouldn't have. Unless they played it in Nashville, I didn't. But at the festivals in 21, on the second night, they played the entire Black Album in reverse. And
Wow.
so, yeah. And so I definitely, saw that there. And like you said, it's just one of those songs. It's like,
Yeah. My friend Misery, I would have liked to seen that live. Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
That'd be cool.
yeah.
And then we roll into King Nothing, which is an awesome song as well. I'll never get sick of hearing that live.
Yeah. I
Really,
got to give a shout out to my buddy Drennan Hayes. That's absolutely his song.
yeah.
And that kind of ties in, I think, too, with the appreciation that we were talking about earlier. Like whenever you know someone who likes a song, maybe more than you do. Nothing against the song, right? That's not what I'm saying. But I know several times that I've tried to FaceTime Drennan during the live performance of King Nothing just so he can say, "Oh yeah, thanks, man," because I know that's one of his favorite songs.
That's cool, man.
Yeah,
Then we get our two songs from 72 Seasons. We got 72 Seasons and If Darkness Had a Sun. You touched on the album as well. You really enjoying it. I have to agree. I think some of James's writing, especially in Darkness Had a Sun, I think I'd imagine that came out from maybe, the rehab coming out and
sure.
things are settling down in his head and stuff.
Yeah,
And the more, yeah, I know he doesn't do a whole lot of media anymore, but the small bits he gives here and there, you can tell that he's I know it sounds stupid, but he is a recluse kind of. He likes to do his own thing. Like even though he's
Yeah,
on stage orchestrating 60, 70,000 people in the palm of his hand, but
yeah.
I think he just likes to be himself and do his own thing and you know his painting or his writing or whatever. But I think some of the stuff on that album is some of his best stuff in a long, long time.
Oh, absolutely. Lyrically, as far as the self-reflection,
Yeah,
and that's kind of stopping drinking myself, and kind of being on the other side and having kind of clear thoughts, and um, it really changes your perspective on life whenever you lived in so many days that were clouded or like sad, emotionally challenging, whatever. And so yeah, the self-reflection is, for me, it's definitely palpable. And as far as moments, you know, you stand feet away from someone, a poet who has put his words to music, and whenever you see him perform and sing those songs, like it's more than just his own stage persona. You can see the emotion like coming out. Kind of coming up next on the set list. Two more songs down, I think,
yeah, yeah,
would be The Day That Never Comes. Right.
yeah,
Similar things. You see like the emotion come out, which impacts you, right? Like it makes you feel more about what that song is saying.
yeah, yeah. And one song back, I should say, on the Doodle with Kirk and Rob, "To Live Is to Die." You got that?
Yeah, yeah.
They played that in Toronto, right?
I think they've played it once or twice. Yeah, I've really appreciated the Doodles playing, clips out of actual Metallica songs,
Yeah,
and they still riff with it, and they still like kind of have this free exchange. But to have it connected to something that's amazing, like whenever you're at a show and you're kind of like bobbing along, and then you realize what song they're playing, you look at each other, you're like,
yeah,
oh yeah.
yeah. Because it takes a minute for it to kind of kick in. You're like,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, shit, there we go.
Wait, is that? Oh yeah, it is. Yeah.
That song to me, I've people are probably sick of hearing me say this, but like that song to me is the perfect song to like if you could put the emotion of like, anger, devastation, acceptance, then back to anger and then like just, I think they created everything that they went through when Cliff passed in that
I
song.
Yeah,
Like you can hear their hearts breaking in that song.
sure,
I've
sure,
I've never heard a song. I don't know what way they play that classical guitar, but you can just like you can just I just feel it. I can feel
sure.
their pain with
Yeah,
that song.
yeah,
It's so good. It's so
yeah.
good. It's my favorite instrumental. I love it. I love it.
And you never want to, how do I put this? Like, you never want to say, I'm glad someone went through the pain that they went through to produce whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
But one of the beautiful things about art, is that whenever someone does go through a difficult time, they produce a piece of art after, and then you listen to it, and you've maybe experienced something challenging or difficult in your life. It lets you know that you're not alone,
Yeah.
right? Even if it's just that one other person on earth that has felt something similarly, like they make you feel in that moment that, hey, we made it through this.
Hmm.
It was hard as hell, but we made it through this. Whatever you're going through, you're going to make it through as well. And kind of dovetailing that back to like James's personal story,
Yeah.
the openness that he's had over the past couple of years of stating that message from stage, right? Like you are not alone.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, you can fight through this. It was the second night in Philly. I'm jumping a little bit ahead of myself. I won't say much about it, but second night in Philly, he kind of had that exposition there. Like you can do it,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
don't give up. Hang in there. So
100%. Yeah, yeah, music is definitely special that way.
yeah,
Um, so then, yeah, like you touched on The Day That Never Comes, brilliant track. I touched on my experience in Madrid. I'll never forget.
yeah.
I love hearing it. Then you got Cyanide. I don't think that's been played in a while, has it?
I don't think so. And I mentioned that earlier.
Was this?
I'm pretty sure in Madrid, like they
Yeah,
played it there, and like this was kind of one of the things that was behind the scenes that I got to experience
yeah,
before the show. So in the meet and greet, Rob and Kirk were asked something about the set list, and they're like, "Well, like we usually have a pretty good game plan, but then Lars will say, 'Oh, let's play this tonight.' How long has it been since we played this?" And Kurt's like, "Oh man, I got to get ready for this song. And so you guys can expect a song tonight that you haven't heard, in a little bit.
uh,
And I'm pretty sure it was Cyanide. And I looked at the guy next to me. I was like, "That's the song they were talking about." I don't know where it's been on this tour cycle. I don't recall hearing it at
maybe
one of the
Syracuse.
stops.
Did it play Syracuse? Maybe. I'm not
I
sure.
can't. They all like
Yeah, it's so hard. I've been talking to so many people.
yeah,
I'm going through set lists. I'm like, yeah, maybe, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's an awesome song though.
It is. It is. It is.
And then it rolls into Orion. Like, yeah, to me, the two best instrumentals of Metallica to live is to
Yeah,
Die. Even though it's only a doodle, I'll take it. But then
sure.
you got Orion, which is the second best in my opinion. It's so
Yeah.
good.
Orion, just the way that it builds.
Oh, just gonna say
Um,
that. Yeah,
yeah, the way that it builds, the direct connection, like to Cliff and what he's meant to the band, and like even how his death shaped the band.
mm,
After, you know, a lot of people too are just like, man, Metallica stopped being Metallica when Cliff passed, right? Or their music hasn't been the same. I get those comments, I get those perspectives, but I think what we short sight sometimes is, what if Cliff would have survived, maybe the band wouldn't be. Well, they wouldn't be who they are today, right? It's kind of the whole butterfly effect thing,
yeah,
you know, like had that tragedy not happened, their lives would have all went a completely different path, and we don't know what
yeah,
things would be like today. And so that's why I, you know, do my best to appreciate everything for what it is
yeah.
as it stands today,
It
you
is
know?
what it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. You can't say what if and what
Right.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it happened. And I think my argument would be to somebody who says, "Oh, Metallica is shit after just Raid or whatever." I'm like, I think it showed how good they are,
Oh yeah.
that they were
Absolutely.
able to do a Black Album, that they
Yep.
were able to do Load and Reload, which I think is good. Um, Saint Anger and everything else, like they don't have to do anything anymore. They've
Right.
proven everybody.
Yeah.
If they said after the show tonight, said, you know what, we decided we're done, we're going to pack it in.
Yeah.
You actually couldn't blame them. They're like,
Right.
all right, you've done 40 odd years on the road. You don't need to
Yeah.
prove anything. But,
Right.
but I think it's normal life to the guys. I think, I think James has said in several interviews he doesn't know what to do when he's at home. That is life on the road. So if it's working for them, I'm happy because I'll continue to go to the shows no matter how
Yeah.
they play it.
Yeah.
Um, then we roll into the back end of night one. We get Nothing Else Matters. Awesome track as well. Sad But True, another great song live. Then you got Fight Fire with Fire.
Mm.
Nice.
That got me, man. That
Oh,
got me.
yeah.
Anytime I hear Fight Fire with Fire Live, it's great. Again, kind of that. kickoff song on, Ride the Lightning.
Yeah.
I, the way that instrumental comes in at the beginning, like zen, zen, like you're not expecting
No.
the heaviness that's about to follow, both lyrically and musically.
Yes.
And so whenever it kicks in, it's an awesome song. I that was one moment in the show when I like really lost my mind. I was like, yeah,
Now,
So
where were you in the pit for this? Were you kind of hovering around the middle, or were you moving, or
yeah, so I was trying to be strategic with my movements. I wasn't pinned in like against one of the walls. I got the first couple of songs at the first bridge. I went over to the second bridge after, probably during Holier Than Thou, towards the end of Holier Than Thou. Was over at the second bridge through Orion, and then went back to the starting point through the end of the show. So that was probably the final drum position. So I mean, I was right there with where Lars would have been on playing the drums.
and even though you're in the snake pit, and you're able to move around, like I'd imagine you're not getting to the rail though, are you, when you're moving?
No, no,
No,
no.
you're
Because I mean, yeah, the people who are gonna like get in the snake pit and like stay on, the wall of the stage, the rail, that's gonna be such prime time real estate for them, right? Like they're not moving.
not moving. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
well, understandably so. But, whenever you do that, depending on which side you're on, you could be cutting yourself off from a lot of the show, right? Because it's on the donut, they're moving around.
yeah,
And so if you are on the side where they open with the first 8 songs, like the last 8 are apart, away from you. And sure, they're going to move through, but it's not going to be like this constant
mm,
closeness. And so I think there's a real advantage to
moving.
floating, especially if you're by yourself. I was solo Friday night. I could, navigate, in and out of the crowds with ease, and I could go where I wanted to. And when you've seen them multiple times, you kind of, I mean, where all the positions are going to be, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. It was a good benefit for me.
And if you are on your I disappear and you're waiting in line early, where is your spot? Or what are you going for?
I want to be near the dip on James's side.
James?
Um, so if you know what to look for, you know where that is.
Yeah.
I'm 5'9" on a good day. And so I want to be at a spot where I can see the entire show. Like I want to see all the action. I don't want to be, behind one of the high points and not be able to see, kind of like I said earlier, I'm a visual guy, right? So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want that visual immersion, not just the auditory.
Yeah, I know Chris, who we had on here. He's drum kit one, and he says a lot of people don't like drum kit one because, like you just said, after the first couple of songs, you,
Yeah,
you're probably watching the screens for most of it.
right.
But what Chris says, which is his thing, you know, when the ecstasy's on and the drum kit comes up, and he gets them first couple of songs,
Yeah,
and the whole band come together, like
right.
that moment. Yeah, yeah, I can't wait till next year. I swear to God, I've never. The closest I got, Lance, was I got Gold Circle in Slane Castle, and I got pretty close. I got
Yeah,
like maybe five deep,
yeah,
but I'm determined to get on that rail. And I'm like, I'm doing my homework. I'm like, okay, Shep goes at Chad. And then I'm like, there's the dip, and then there's the riser. And then
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to work out in my head, where do I want to
Sure.
go? Like, I'm probably going to go in green as hell. I don't care once I'm there. But hopefully by the fourth or fifth show, I'll get my bearings. I'm like,